Trump, Iran, sanctions. Three words all a little too familiar to the world. Although Washington aimed its sanctions at Tehran, it's European companies who have felt the impact. And although sanctions may have closed the door to European businesses, they could apparently open another to the flow of drugs.
I warn those who impose sanctions that if Iran's ability to fight drugs and terrorism are affected, you will not be safe from a deluge of drugs, asylum seekers, bombs and terrorism.
In case you didn't know, Iran has been a barrier to a deluge of drugs coming from Afghanistan for years. Iran has a lengthy border with Afghanistan, the world's largest producer of opium, destined for markets in Europe and elsewhere. In 2016 alone, the UN estimates that Iran seized over 500,000 kilos of opium. Iranian officials say they've spent a hefty amount on enforcement measures, barriers, canals, fences, around $800 million annually, it says, on sealing its borders to prevent the transit of narcotics. And if Iran can't do its job because of sanctions, well, you get the picture.
Weakening Iran by sanctions, many will not be safe.
Washington claims to have the problem under control. Since 2002, it's been engaged in a counter-narcotics program in Afghanistan. But get this, back in 2001, before the US intervention, poppy fields stretched to around 7,606 hectares. Fast forward to 2017, and the number grows to 328,000 hectares.
No counter-drug program undertaken by the United States, its coalition partners, or the Afghan government resulted in lasting reductions in poppy cultivation or opium production.
So, if Iran can no longer protect its borders with Afghanistan, a wave of drugs threatens to engulf Europe and beyond. Another tragic consequence of Trump's foreign policy hitting allies instead.
The effort Iran is putting in fighting drug trafficking is primarily aimed at protecting its own citizens. Drugs affect over 2 million Iranians. Nevertheless, it's also bringing benefits for other countries such as the Europeans as well. I think what the Rouhani government is trying to do is it is trying to tell the Europeans that if the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, dies, and unfortunately it seems that that is the path we are going to, they cannot expect Iran's cooperation on other issues such as fighting drugs and fighting terrorism. And while drugs and terrorism impact Iran primarily, but we have to remember that they also impact the region as well as trans-regional actors such as Europe.